Hi everyone, welcome back to Vedic Cosmos. We'll continue our discussion about what is knowledge. This is part 3 of what constitutes knowledge. Last time we had talked about these 20 items of knowledge. We mentioned them in brief. These are all qualities that one possesses once they are exposed to spiritual knowledge. So knowledge is not only about knowing something, but also it's about conducting oneself in a specific manner, in a particular manner. Once one knows what is it that is to be known. This is a characteristic of spiritual knowledge. It's not only about theoretical knowledge, but really implementing that aspect of understanding into one's life, and that reflects in one's conduct. So we'll pick few of these qualities today and talk about them in a little bit more detail. The first one is humility. The Sanskrit word for humility is amanitvam. Amanitvam or humility means not to think oneself as someone great. Manitvam means to consider oneself to be of very prime importance, and amanitvam is exactly opposite of that. In the beginning negates the quality that follows after it. So humility specifically in spiritual life means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. This is very hard to practice because we're always looking for some honor, some recognition, some acknowledgement from people around us for the work that we do. But the quality of a true spiritualist, one who is progressing in spiritual knowledge, is that they will not be anxious for this particular recognition. The reason is when one knows one's true position with respect to the Lord or the Supreme Absolute Truth, one already knows that one is very insignificant and there is not really much that we possess that we should be anxious to be honored by others. So humility naturally follows by knowing our true position. The next one is pridelessness. It is similar, closely related to the previous one, humility. But pridelessness in Sanskrit is termed as adambhitvam, and what it means is not to be proud of one's qualifications, possessions, or achievements. So while humility talked about being not being anxious to get recognition from others, but even without that, one should not be feeling internally that one is great because of one's qualifications, possessions, or various achievements. Because when compared to the absolute truth, everything that we have is pretty much insignificant. So there's nothing really that we have that is worthy being proud of. Pridelessness also means that one should not be eager to speak about oneself excessively, not to draw too much attention on oneself. That's also a characteristic of pridelessness. Next is non-violence. Non-violence is known as ahimsa in Sanskrit. Ahimsa, simply put, it means not to put others in distress. Himsa means to um, intentionally cause distress to others, the worst of which is killing someone. That's the worst. But even otherwise, like torturing others or doing ill to others, speaking ill of others, is all also counted as violence. So negation of that, not doing any of that, ahimsa, that is non-violence. From spiritual standpoint, non-violence also extends to this idea that one should, by all means, try their best to distribute real knowledge, spiritual knowledge to people, so that they may become spiritually enlightened. Because even without external harm being caused to a person, one is always in the churn of this material world and the distresses that life brings along with it. So if we are knowledgeable about how to get out of this situation but do not share it with others, then that's also like implicitly committing violence, because we know the path out, but we're not still helping others to elevate from their sufferings. Therefore, distribution of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, is also considered as non-violence. Next is tolerance. Tolerance in Sanskrit is known as Kshantihi. Ability to tolerate reversals while walking on spiritual path. So when one embarks on a spiritual path, because we are for so long entangled in material energy, we will always face opposition. So this opposition or reversal that comes when we start walking on this path, the ability to tolerate that is tolerance. In particular, what really is hurtful to the heart is insult and dishonor from others. If one is able to tolerate that, then that's a very good measure of one's tolerance. One will be able to tolerate everything else. So specifically in spiritual life, tolerance means one should be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. Simplicity, in Sanskrit known as Arjavam. Arjavam sometimes is also translated as honesty. Simplicity and honesty are prominent qualities exhibited by Brahmanas. It is a sign of a pure-hearted person, and simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be straightforward in speaking the truth. When one's attention and focus is on spiritual knowledge and the goal of spiritual knowledge, then there's no need to be diplomatic or tricky in one's thinking. One can be simple, straightforward, and expect mercy and all protection from the Supreme Lord. The last one we'll talk about today is cleanliness. In Sanskrit, cleanliness is referred to as shaucham, also one of the important qualities exhibited by the Brahmanas. Simply put, cleanliness means being clean inside out. Cleaning our bodies by taking a bath regularly and doing other necessary maintenance of the body, that's kind of straightforward and everyone does that pretty much. But cleanliness from within is something that's not that common and ignored by many. But shaucham really means to be clean both in the body and in the mind. So that's why we refer to as being clean inside out. Cleanliness of the body is understandable, is straightforward, but cleanliness of the mind in particular is achieved by chanting Vedic mantras, regular chanting of Vedic mantras. The mind is controlled, the mind is clean, then the mind becomes pure and it can focus on thinking about the Supreme Absolute Truth and understanding this truth. So cleanliness is a very important quality that exhibits true knowledge.